Who is in the best 23 for Hawthorn this year? The Zero Hanger team here. We've made our call. We're going to break it down for you line by line. But before we do that, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. We do footy content and we do a lot of it, and we've got a lot of it coming your way this year. So with all that being said, jump into the comment section. Let us know who your best 23 is, and let's go. But before we get into it, don't forget that ZeroHanger.com is the #1 independent AFL news source for all your AFL news, trades, draft content, and now games. Check out our latest game, AFL Streakr. Test out your footy stats knowledge and see if you can get your name on the leaderboard. Right, so here to break down the full 23 for 2025. Mitch Keating, Chief AFL Editor. How are you, mate?
Good, mate. Yeah, keen to get stuck into the Hawks.
Yeah.
Pretty fun list.
Well, yeah, they're one of the more exciting lists, I think, especially after getting to finals last year, which nobody really expected, and they had some good additions in the offseason.
Yeah, I think across all three lines, this is looking like a list that will contend and go quite deep once again in this season.
Yep. All right, let's get to it. All right, so the backline seemed like one of the harder ones to pick. So we'll go through it from the fullback. So Blake Hardwick, Tom Barrass, James Sicily, and then halfback, Jarman Impey, Josh Battle, and Josh Weddle. So I guess the big question there is how many tools play down back.
Yeah, when you say hard to pick, it's not like you're trying to find a player to fill a gap. It's how you're trying to fit all of these players in.
Yeah.
Blake Hardwick, he could be playing forward, but I don't know if he breaks into a spot ahead of a Dylan Moore, Ginnivan, or Watson. And then you've got Jarman Impey as that other small. I think Karl Amon will also play a bit down back. With Giath the same, maybe on the wing, maybe a back. But the tools are the headache that Sam Mitchell's going to have to figure out. So we haven't got Sam Frost in this side. We've got Jack Scrimshaw on the bench. Then you've got Sicily, Weddle, and then the two new boys in Barrass and Battle. So I think you lock the latter two in for sure. Whether Sicily or Weddle maybe play further up the field, I think that's what we're going to get a look at. One of those two pushing up maybe onto a wing or even forward. You know, both have kind of flirted with forward positions over the preseason. So, this is going to be really fascinating to see how this plays out and how they line up come opening round against Sydney.
Yeah, good problem for Sam Mitchell to have. So let's look ahead now to the midfield. Okay, so the main ruckman for the Hawks, we're going with Lloyd Meek, obviously. Will Day, James Warple, and Jai Newcomb following him up. And then on the wings, Karl Amon and Massimo D'Ambrosio. Where do you want to start with those guys?
Gee, bats deep. It's pretty solid. Meek had a breakout season, and I think you'll have some nice competition from Ned Reeves from looking at their preseason so far. And just you want competition for that ruck spot. Meek took over and really earned that first string role, and he'll hold that again to start this season. From the on-ballers perspective, just you want more from the same. James Warple had a great year. Will Day, when fit, great year. And then Jai Newcomb just took over at the end of last season. Add in your Dylan Moores, who can run through there. Connor McDonald as well. Wings, Massimo D'Ambrosio, probably all Australian caliber last year. Karl Amon, might play more backline. That's where you can push a McDonald up. Or you can have a Cam McKenzie. And when we talk about them batting deep, it means that they've got kids in McKenzie, Josh Ward, Henry Huswaite as these backups that are coming through if there's an injury or just to place pressure on selection. So this is a really, really strong midfield group that's should only be better than what they were last year, just given the age profile as well.
All right, so for the forward line, we've got Dylan Moore, Marbio Chol, Connor McDonald, and Jack Ginnivan, Mitch Lewis, Cal Shadir. Now, obviously looking at that, I think a lot of people in the comments were getting confused that this is a best 23, not who's actually available, but who's the actual best 23. So obviously Mitch Lewis and Cal Shadir, probably we won't see them round one, correct?
Well, Mitch Lewis, no, there's obviously a bit of cloud over Cal Shadir, but it doesn't, looking at where he's training at the moment, a month and a half out, doesn't look like that's going to be the case that he'd be starting. They've got Jack Gunston on standby, who was more than serviceable for them last year in his return to the club. So you're probably looking at Chol, Gunston, and if it's not Deer, then it's a Sicily or a Weddle potentially. Max Ramsden's another one. Or they could throw Ned Reeves if they want to go the two ruck setup. So they have more options there. But this isn't a round one prediction or opening round prediction in the Hawks' case. This is the best side when fully fit and who takes each spot. And I think that's how they would line up in the forward line. And then, Nick Wizard Watson off the bench, add in your Ginnivans, Dylan Moores, Connor McDonald. It's a pretty fun group and it's going to take them pretty far, I think. Yeah,
very likeable forward line. All right, so rounding out the best 23 for the Hawks, off the bench, we have Connor Nash, Jack Scrimshaw, Nick Watson, CJ, and then Luke Bruce as the subs. So obviously the interesting one there is CJ in.
Yeah, I think for Jath, I see him as a good fit in this best 23. maybe as a wing option for them. Offers plenty of run, probably isn't going to be in their top 2 or 3 halfbacks anymore, but reinvents himself in a role higher up the field. Might be quite nice for them, just to complement that inside engine room. And then, Nick Wizard Watson, hopefully he can push that 30-goal mark in his second season. Luke Bruce as the super sub for them last year. I'd like to see him hold that role again. But look, when you've got a Cam McKenzie here and Josh Ward's there, they might take that role at some point if they're not breaking into the starting side. Jack Scrimshaw, more than serviceable and awesome to have in their back 7 set up as well. So, and the one I haven't mentioned is Connor Nash, who's just grown year on year as that really big-bodied midfielder for them. So, I think that's a nice kind of 4 or 5 off the bench. They get a little bit of everything out of them.
Yep. And the Wizard doesn't start on.
He very well could, but who you're dropping out of Ginnivan, Moore and McDonald, it's such a good list. And they're going to be so well set up, not only for this year, but for the next 7.
All right, so that is the full 23. We haven't even really spoken about Battle and Barrass. So what sort of difference do they bring?
It's a significant upgrade. Like Josh Battle is such a reliable intercept and lockdown option at centre half back. Could take the best forward, but I think Tom Barrass will, and he's an all-Australian caliber defender, and just was able to be so reliable and accountable on his direct opponent. Clean in the air, good use of the ball by foot as well. So those two, you're kind of upgrading from Sam Frost, who still had a fantastic year and is going to put some good pressure on them at selection. On top of that upgrade, you get James Sicily probably freed up a little bit to become or return to that intercepting role a little bit more. And then Josh Weddle could be doing the same. So one of those two, or both, really threatening in the air as the next man up in the pack, or one of them pushes forward as well and kind of helps out with their tools, or even on the wing. Like it's not just the upgrade, but it's what it allows all the other Hawks to do and how they can define their roles a bit more in 2025.
Yeah. And do you see this list in particular? So I think they overachieved a bit last year, but then you add in Battle and Barrass. Can they keep that momentum going essentially?
All the gears clicked in 2024, and it got them, a finals win, which no one really predicted. At least I wouldn't have thought preseason, this time last year. But this time around, I think many might have them in their top 4 and potentially in that, spot in the grand final. And rightfully so when you're bringing in players like Battle and Barrass and then adding them to a list where its age profile is hitting its peak or even might not be there yet.
Yeah. Yeah. They might even be like the Hawks of 2008, who essentially sort of achieved ahead of their time. But it's going to be a pretty interesting one to watch this year. So thank you, Mitch. And let us know in the comments what you think of this full 23. We push a lot of players out. Who's unlucky to miss? You obviously have to bring Battle and Barrass in. So let us know in the comments what you think. Hawks fans are very passionate in our YouTube comments, and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. We've got plenty of AFL content coming out this year, and catch all the latest AFL news at zerohanger.com.